So I've been told quite frequently that I am a very happy person or have a very happy essence about me. And I have to say that I think that's pretty accurate. And probably because I never really feel alone. I mean, sure, okay, I get lonely, right? Everybody gets lonely. But I never really feel 100% alone. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always felt a very clear and present feeling inside of me, something that I felt like existed inside me and around me, a presence, if you will. Some of you might call that God, some of you might call it spirit. Frankly, I'm open to whatever you want to call it. But it's as real to me as the clothing that I'm wearing today. So it's very, very present at all times. And it makes me feel pretty dang good. I feel very happy all the time. So when I was a little kid, I wasn't quite sure what to do with that. In fact, there were times that, in addition to not feeling alone because of that, there were times that I truly, really did not feel alone. Every once in a while, I would see things or feel things or hear things that I couldn't quite explain. And as a little kid, I tried to make sense of that. In fact, I actually thought it was totally normal. I thought surely everybody else could see this or could hear that. I had this friend, this imaginary friend, when I was little, about 6 years old. And for quite a long time, I thought, everybody can see this guy, right? I mean, there's no way you can't see this guy. There I was putting on a little show for my stuffed animals and my friend who would sit in the corner. And I kept thinking, really? Nobody else can see this guy? Is this large, older African-American man with his really nice gray slacks, his fresh pressed white shirt, his suspenders and shiny black shoes? Does nobody else really see this guy? He laughs at all my jokes. He told me his name was Percy, which I thought was a funny name because I'd never heard that name before. But apparently it's actually pretty normal in the South or something. But anyway, eventually he went away. And when I realized that no one else really got the drift, no one was with me on that, I figured maybe I was a little weird. So I just kind of put it aside and tried to ignore it as much as possible. The problem is some spirits refuse to be ignored. So as I got older, I went off to school like most people do, and I had this roommate. And my roommate and I started having some weird stuff happen in our apartment. Our recliner started moving on its own. Our lights would flicker, weird stuff. Her cat, mind you, who was a total psycho, would look into the air and suddenly see something that no one else could see and pounce at it. And yeah, I know, cats are weirdos, but honestly, it was very creepy. And I, had kind of put all that stuff aside so much that I really wasn't connecting with it. I wasn't sure why it was happening. And that summer, she and I decided to take a trip to Hawaii, our first trip. So we're in Hawaii. We don't know where the hell we are. We're just walking through this market, and there's a hole in the wall kind of place there where you can have tarot card readings done. And she's really into that stuff. So she said, hey, let's go do a tarot card reading. So we walk in. Never met this woman before. I don't know who the hell she is. I was actually kind of skeptical because I kept thinking, oh, okay, sure, whatever. Let's go get our cards read. And we walk in, and she immediately starts doing this card reading. Halfway through the reading, though, she got very distracted, and she completely stopped. She looked at us and said, you all have had some activity happening in your apartment. First off, we didn't even tell her we were roommates. She said, yeah, stuff moving, lights flickering, that sort of thing. Yeah. Kind of looked at each other like, where's this going? And she looked dead at me, and she said, yeah, they're for you. For me, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Completely freaked me out. I didn't know what to do with that. She said, yeah, don't be scared. It's nothing to be afraid of. But there's two of them. They follow you. Who's the man with the Dodgers jacket? Whoa. The only person I'd ever known to wear a Dodgers jacket on a regular basis was my uncle, who passed away when I was in high school. I always thought of him as kind of a grandfather figure and loved him to death. Never really told him that, though. Never had the opportunity to. And I always kind of wished that maybe he would, I don't know, keep an eye on me. She said, yeah. He comes and goes. He just likes to check on you, make sure you're okay. But he's not the one causing the trouble. Who do you know that passed away when he was very young, a child. I stopped. All the blood went down to my feet. My brother. So when I was in high school, my little brother died. He was actually born and died the same day. And even though I never really got to meet him per se, I always felt very close to him because during my mother's pregnancy, I went with her to all of the doctor's visits and spent all this time with her. I would talk to her belly in the morning before I went to school and bless her belly at night before I went to bed and have conversations with him. So I kind of felt like I already knew him, but didn't really get to meet him. So I'm sitting there trying to work this out in my mind. And she says, yeah, actually that makes sense. So here's what you need to do. You just need to acknowledge him. He's just doing this for attention because he just wants you to know that he's there. Acknowledge him and the activity should stop. Acknowledge him. The hell does that mean? I flew home trying to think of what she meant by that or how I might go about doing that. I got to my bedroom once, put all my bags down and thought about it. I thought, when have I ever seen somebody acknowledge a spirit? Well, then I realized it was actually a totally normal thing growing up. My great-grandfather and my great-grandmother, who used to babysit me and my older sister, have a haunted house. Their house is ridiculously old and constantly had all kinds of weird activity. And my great-grandfather would actually talk to the spirits as if they were there, like a real person. Hey, good morning. How you doing? If he was angry at them, go to hell. Just whatever he needed to do. And people thought he was a little kooky, but it worked. So I figured, well, why not give it a shot? I sat down at the edge of my bed, tried to concentrate and close my eyes, and I spoke to my brother for the first time in years. I said, I know you're here. I love you very much. You really don't need to do this stuff. It's kind of freaking me out. It'd be great if you could stop. But I think of you all the time. I miss you and I love you. And most of the activity stopped. I say most because to this day, we still kind of play this game of hide and go seek with my jewelry. So he likes to kind of take my rings or my earrings or whatever out of my jewelry box or wherever I put them. And trust me, I'm pretty OCD. For those of you who know me in the crowd, I am like the extreme Virgo. I know exactly where to put things. Everything has a place. So this is not me being like, oh, Anna just forgot her things on the coffee table. No, not at all. So my rings and things will just go missing. And then the fun part is I get to find them in other places. They just show up in my kitchen or in the bathroom or on my coffee table or in a bookshelf, like wherever. And this all kind of came to a head when I was living in Baltimore a couple of years ago. I was looking for my favorite ring and couldn't find it in my jewelry box. I turned the whole house upside down, tried to figure out where it was, nothing. So I immediately figured, oh, he took the freaking ring. And I actually was really upset. Like I was genuinely really angry like any big sister would be with a baby brother. And I was like, what the hell? I can't believe you took it. What are you doing? You know how much that ring means to me. That ring was a keepsake from my trip to Hawaii with Mom. It was our first actual real family trip without Dad. Why did you take that? I was so upset. And I yelled at him. And I gathered my stuff and I went off to work all angry about it. And I came home from work that afternoon and tried to calm down about it. And I sat on my bed again, tried to relax, and I apologized. Hey, I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to yell at you, but you know how much that ring means to me. Can you please just give it back? I love you. And I went to sleep. And I thought for sure in the morning when I woke up, I got up all excited thinking, oh, it's gonna be right here on my nightstand in my little dish. And it wasn't. So I got up real disappointed and gathered my stuff and started heading to my car to get ready for work. And I always used to park my car right in front of the house under this big tree. And it was wearing these very thin little flats. So as I was walking, I could feel the big thick roots of the tree. But I suddenly felt something that didn't quite feel like the root of the tree. I glanced down, and within the earth underneath the tree, the very, very top of the ring was just barely peeking from under the soil. I fell to my knees and I started crying, and I was digging it out with my fingers like a freaking animal. I couldn't believe it, just crying. I take it out of the dirt brush it off as best I can, and I put it on. And I just said, thank you. Thank you for returning it. I'm really sorry I yelled at you. I hope you know I can never forget you. You don't need to do this stuff. I miss you every day, and I love you so much. And so you see, I can never really feel alone, even when I try to. In the middle of the night, my laundry room doors will open and shut on their own. I have a new problem now with my TV turning itself back on. Just random things, but you know, some of it is maybe explicable and some of it is not, but I always figure it's probably him, or maybe somebody else. But I'm okay with not feeling alone, because it's very real to me. It's as real to me as the ring that I'm wearing tonight. Same ring that he buried underneath that tree that day.